were the Minnows? Were women warriors in Africa real? Or were they like Amazons, just mythical figures? Welcome to the Sankofa Pan-African series. I am assuming that you've already subscribed to this channel and that you have your notification buttons clicked on. I hope you will continue to support this series by inviting your friends and contacts to also subscribe. You can also support us by giving us a thumbs up and by sharing our videos with your friends and contacts. Thank you. Now, there are a number of interesting narratives that try to capture the founding of Dahomey. One source, which tries to explain the origin of the name Dahomey, states that it means on the stomach of Da, because the royal compound of Dahomey was built on the grave of a rival king whose name was Dan. According to another source, the Dahomey kingdom is believed to have been founded in the early 17th century when the Aja people of Alada kingdom moved northward and settled among the Fon people. Again, other sources say that sometime around the beginning of the 17th century, three brothers fought over the kingdom of Alada. Alada, like a neighboring Wida, had grown prosperous in trade. One of the brothers won control of Alada, while the remaining two brothers, on conceding victory to him, left Alada. One is said to have gone southwest and founded Port Novo on the coast of Wida. The other brother, Dahomey, moved northward to found the kingdom of Abomey, which later grew into Dahomey. Initially, the three kingdoms founded through this rivalry paid tribute to the powerful Yoruba kingdom of Oyo, which laid east in what is now present-day Western Nigeria. Please check out our episode on Oyo if you missed it. It is believed that Dahomey's grandson, Wegbaja, made Abomey into a powerful state. It is also believed that this king, Wegbaja, who reigned between 1645 and 1685, successfully organized Dahomey into a centralized and powerful state. He promulgated a rule which decreed that all land belonged to the king and were therefore subject to taxation. He also kept competing rulers of neighboring states at bay by instituting primogeniture as a way of ascension to the throne. Now, primogeniture is a system where the firstborn son of the king, usually the male child, inherits the kingdom. Now, Wegbaja was succeeded by Akaba, who was himself succeeded by Agaja. It is also believed that Agaja conquered the slave trading states of Wida and Alada, which were by then run by Europeans by the time he conquered them during the 1720s, thereby gaining direct access to the slave coast and trade with the Europeans. But we'll talk more about that as we go on. From early in the 18th century, the Dahomey armed forces were led by Minot, an army made up of fierce female soldiers who were tasked with guarding the palace, the royalty, and fighting for the kingdom. On a personal note, I first learnt about these women warriors as a child from my maternal grandmother, whose family were originally Ajashe from Port Novo, from where they now migrated to settle in Lagos, Nigeria. And for a long time, I thought these women warriors in my grandmother's stories were mythical figures like the Amazons and the women warriors that you find in the stories about a Superwoman, Wonder Woman, all these superhero comic figures. I did not know they were real. However, I now realize that these Dahomean women warriors remain the only verifiable, non-mythical, all-female army corps in the whole of human history. You will not find another. Their name, Mino, means my mother in Fon language, but their origin as an army remains unclear. One theory suggests that they were initially formed under the rule of King Wigbaja as a group of elephant hunters. Then, in the early 18th century, Wigbaja's son and successor, King Agaja, impressed by their ferocity, decided to employ them as members of the palace guard. It is believed that their responsibilities and number rapidly expanded. By the 1850s, the Mino are believed to have been between 6,000 and 8,000 strong, and their superior fighting skill helped Dahomey to conquer the whole of present-day Republic of Benin and large chunks of Yoruba land in areas which now constitute the western part of Nigeria. They were also at the forefront of resisting French colonization until the kingdom became colonized. The enlarged kingdom called Dahomey had Abome, Alada, and Wida as provinces. Again, it is said it is sad to mention that, like other kingdoms in Africa, after engagement with Arabs and Europeans, Dahomey also thrived on the sale of slaves to Europeans. The kingdom was a form of monarchy, and the king was surrounded by a magnificent retinue and he was the unchallenged pinnacle of a stratified society. The king governed through a centralized bureaucracy made up of commoners. Now, one interesting aspect of this kingdom was that each male official in any position had a female counterpart at court who monitored his activities and advised the king. Conquered territories were assimilated through intermarriage, a unified legal system, and a common sense of enmity towards their former oppressors, like the Yoruba kingdom of Oyo. Dahomey was well organized for war, not only to expand its boundaries, but also to take captives. Slaves were either sold to the Europeans in exchange for weapons or kept to work the royal plantations that supplied food for the army and court. From approximately 1680, a regular census of the population was taken as a basis for military conscription. The female soldiers, the Minors, who were later called Amazons by Europeans. They continued to serve as royal bodyguards when not in combat. Notably, King Agaja, who reigned between 1708 and 1740, attempted to end the slave trade by engaging slaves in palm oil producing plantations. But he met with resistance from Europeans who were profiting on slaves and on whom Dahomey depended for firearms. In 1730, under King Agaja, Dahomey was conquered by the Oyo Empire and was compelled to pay tribute. By the 19th century, palm oil had become the main trading commodity of the kingdom. The kingdom of Dahomey continued to prosper and acquired new provinces, reaching its height under King Agandozan. Agandozan was overthrown by the Great Gezu. Under Gezu, Dahomey reached the high point of its power and fame. Gezu increased the splendor of the court, encouraged the arts, refined the bureaucracy. His armies freed Dahomey from the humiliation of paying tribute to Oyo. Gezu accomplished a smooth transition to palm exports, so that instead of selling people who were captured in war, they were kept to work on oil plantations. Palm oil was far less lucrative than slaves. However, an economic decline followed under Gezu's successor, Glegli, when the French won control of Port Novo and Cotonou and attracted coastal trade there. Commerce at Ouidah collapsed. After the accession of Behazin, who succeeded Glegli, hostilities were precipitated. France then conquered Dahomey in a war that lasted between 1892 and 1894, after which a colonial government was established there. The 1892 French expedition was led by one Colonel Alfred Amidi Dodds, who defeated the Dahomeyans and established a protectorate. Behazin was then deported to the West Indies. His former kingdom was absorbed into the French colony of Dahomey, with its capital at Port Novo. The name Dahomey was retained by the country which the French ruled. The name Dahomey was also retained by the Republic even after independence from France, and it was kept until 1975, when it was changed to the Republic of Benin. The name Benin was after the Bight of Benin, this body of water on which the country lies. It is not to be confused with the Benin Empire or Benin City of Nigeria. Please watch our episode on the Benin Empire if you've not. Also, keep your comments and questions coming on our community page. See you next time.